Hello and welcome to another Overlord Fury video, and today we are going to take a look at the last part of my little what would happen if the Sorcerer Kingdom and the Slane Theocracy are fighting each other video. But before we are going to do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. Thanks guys. Now with that said, while all of the things happening in this video are just part of my What If Theory video, they are nonetheless based on everything we know about the Overlord books, so its lore, its characters, its magic system, the relationships of different characters, and everything else is taken into account. Finally, and as usual, I will do a quick recap of the last part, which are linked down in the description. Ainz and the Twin Floor Guardians traveled to the Elf Kingdom. Ainz watched as the Black Scripture put the Elf King under mind control. Now knowing who attacked Shalltear, Ainz forces destroyed the spear tip of the incoming army of Slane. Zashi, who was sent to destroy whatever destroyed the spear tip, fought and killed a Lupus Regina doppelganger and traveled back. Meanwhile, Ainz under the guise of Momon infiltrated Slane and had taken control over Rufus, as well as the now undead Black Scripture, while Shalltear was finally catching up to Zashi, who was still sleeping under the starry night sky. And as usual, Zashi dreamt about finally meeting someone stronger than her, someone that was worthy of her. And like most nights, the dream started with a wild attack. This time, a white, shining Valkyrie had pierced her belly while she slept unguarded. It wasn't the first time she had this dream, but this time it felt much more realistic. Thus her reflexes kicked in and kicked her attacker square in the face, thus allowing her pinned body to move away. A quick healing spell had undone the worst of the damage, and now Zashi would attack and slice the construct in front of her into two. But this time, her attacker blocked her scythe with ease. A second hit from her lance entered her body and pierced her shoulder, before a well-placed kick from Zashi put her on top of the very lance. Having gotten unusually excited by this lucid dream, Zashi had activated a multitude of skills from her clothing and herself to boost her agility and movement speed, as well as activating the perpetual health regeneration spell her armor was blessed with. Running atop the lance of this shining white foe, she was surprised that her kicks were blocked, as well as another swing of her scythe, and that she suffered another blow, this time from the very fist of the Valkyrie and directly to her head. Blood mixed with tears of joy in her eyes as she realized that this dreadful angel of hers was real. Now flashing the maddest and cruelest of smiles, Zashi activated Pure Heavenly Revenge, another skill from her armor, not in order to block the inevitable next attack, but to then mirror it with double the force. A lance mimicking that of her attacker appeared out of nowhere and hit Ainz with deadly precision, cutting deep into the construct, bringing her off balance, before Zashi's scythe once more turned into the sickle of a moon, putting the fading celestial body to shame in both brightness and beauty. A quick swing sank into her enemy's armor, inflicting heavy damage. At an audience chamber deep at the heart of the Theocracy's Sacrosanct buildings, Rufus had informed the cardinals of Zashi's finding. As joyful as if Surshana himself had risen from the dead, only to then once more claim dominance over them, Rufus urged the cardinals and the pontifex to hastily visit this place of revelation inside a cathedral on the outskirts of their city. Meanwhile, Zashi's black and white color scheme now seemingly had added a third one. Her blood-sodden clothing was reflecting the first beam of light of this virgin day. Despite her bloodied outfit, her wounds had almost healed completely. Enjoying the first sunbeams, Zashi felt sorrowful and sad that this defeated construct, now fading like the night sky, wasn't just a little bit stronger, thus almost neglecting to sense a second angel of hers attacking. This one was blood red. And instead of the stoic face of the White Valkyrie, this one flashed a smile as wicked as her very own. Overcome with joy, Zashi barely dodged the initial strike. Had she had a skill left to activate, she would have done so to start another attack. But she spent all of them defeating the bright shadow of their true enemy. But there was one final ace in Zashi's sleeve that so far no one could best. She stopped the time and prepared a massive swing, only to find her aggressor moving away with ease and striking a perfect blow that would have normally punctured every artery in her neck. Only the time stop saved her. How exciting. Animated like never before, Zashi rushed forward and brought in one swing after another before the Valkyrie even realized that even in this frozen second both of them were in. She could still suffer damage, while Zashi's wounds would continue to heal. The cardinal stood inside of a cathedral, adorned with the most beautiful of flowers, but none of them could recollect having ever been to this place. But it looked just like many of the holy places they had visited before. And what's even more surprising was the smell of cake and dinner. Now jolly tunes could be heard, and this atmosphere charged with happiness. The cardinals almost neglected to realize that the entirety of the Black Scripture is already present and had taken a seat. The cardinals now believed that this could only mean one single thing: their gods would return. And as joy spread through their faces, they failed to notice the pale white faces of the scripture, as well as their blue lips. Zashi couldn't believe it. Every time she healed her wounds during the time stop, it only prolonged the fight. As soon as she would leave the frozen second, the blood-red angel of hers would chip away at her health again, reducing it until only time stop could save Zashi from certain defeat. Even worse, her adversary still had plenty of spells and skills, while her lance would heal any wound inflicted upon her by drawing on Zashi's own health. With the Godkin's mana almost completely spent, this could only mean one thing: that this beautiful angel of hers was indeed stronger than Zashi, and thus deserving of her loyalty and her as a bride. During the last time stop Zashi's depleted mana reserves could facilitate, she knelt before the Valkyrie, surrendering and then declaring her undying love for this undying angel, who upon leaving the frozen second changed briefly into a dress eerily similar to Downfall of Castle and Country, before changing into a white wedding gown as the sun set and the bells tolled. The cardinals watched in utter disgust as the profane evangelist, Nea Baraya, declared the strongest and last of their godkins married to this undead vampiric abomination, masquerading as a noblewoman. As Nea declared them wed in the name of Ainz Ooal Gown and the Great Tomb of Nazarick, a kiss sealed the pact between the two. The entirety of the cathedral now applauded and cheered for this accursed union, throwing roses and cherry leaves on the floor where their fallen godkin and this accursed vampire walked. The Black Scripture, as well as the remaining Miku priestesses and the other higher-ups of Slane, were now overcome with happiness. And then, the entire scene started to play out anew. No matter how many times the cardinals bore witness to it, they still were utterly shattered and overcome with pain, guilt and sorrow, watching the line of their very gods being married to the Sorcerer King's servant. Ainz Ooal Gown's unmoving face still grinned brightly as he left the depiction of nature and society, one of Nazarick's now 12 world items. The loop he created came at the cost of one free use of Wish Upon a Star, but it was eternal. Just like the world-class item the cardinals were now in, well guarded, they would suffer an eternity, reliving the most humiliating defeat over and over again. With the strongest godkin, Rufus, the Black Scripture, and the Doppel Cardinals on his side, Ainz would now rule the Slane theocracy from the shadows, until Nea had finished converting them to his own worship. The very moment he would be hailed as Sorshana Reborn would be the day Ainz would revisit the Cardinals to introduce a second loop memory to them. At a certain floor, Nurenist blushed as she stood before a gigantic stone covering half an acre of land. This colleague of hers always knew how to compliment her looks and choice of clothing, sometimes even her non-existing hairstyle. The now flattered torturer was happy to return this kindness by throwing a gift to the one that moved the gigantic rock covering his lair. It was a reward handpicked by Ainz Ooal Gown himself, now freed from mind control after he had confessed his plans for the Twin Floor Guardians, but otherwise broken, cursed, drained, and under the perpetual paralysis spell, the former Elf King watched in horror as the pitch-black void he had been thrown into beamed with pulsating violet-blue light emitted by the bioluminescent tentacles of one of the 5 worst. And with that said, I've landed his what could happen if scenario. Now, while Ainz could have simply crushed the theocracy with his overwhelming might, something that the Great Tomb of Nezarec actually did during the events of the Evil Eye bonus volume, I found this way of taking revenge far more elegant, plausible, and devious. So Zashi and Shalltear would be happily married, while the Cardinals would watch the wedding over and over for eternity. The scriptures would now serve him, and Slane would come to worship him, which pretty much is the ultimate form of revenge Ainz could take for them controlling Shalltear. The only thing that had surprised him was that they didn't need to put Zashi under mind control. And now it's your turn. What do you think about my scenario? Do you find it plausible or not? Let me know all about it down in the comment section. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Bad Guy Yee, Ben C, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Dystopia the Second, Feral Shivan, Guy with Dead Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pentum, Personage, Primus 11, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Texas Deer, The Orc War Boss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on our next video.